Allen has sold more than 5 million albums worldwide.
Her songs are raw and deeply personal. On stage or off, she's outspoken and opinionated.
In a sea of manufactured pop stars, Lily Allen is refreshingly honest. She's herself always, and that's translated into a string of hits since 2006. When the British singer shares her feelings, almost 6 million fans follow her every word on Twitter. Her music videos have been watched almost 500 million times on YouTube. Lily's latest album is called No Shame, a collection of songs that tackle her divorce, depression and addiction. Now she's set for a national tour in February.
And Lily Allen is with us this morning. Good morning, welcome.
Morning.
Nice to see you.
Thanks.
Now, the new album, there's a little snippet of it there. It's receiving rave reviews. How cathartic is it for you to put such a confessional sort of on the record in an album?
I think really cathartic. You know, it's the whole point of making music for me is to try and get my innermost thoughts, you know, into a song, and hopefully, you know, it connects with people. That's kind of the idea.
Yeah. Well, I think it's working. Congratulations on such enormous success right around the world. There's a lyric in your new album that says, "I feel like I'm under attack all the time." Tell us about that feeling, because that's pretty awful.
Well, you know, I think it's part and parcel of the job that I do. I mean, when I first started, I was sort of 19 or 20, and I was a young woman expressing some pretty, you know, sensational ideas, I guess, or opinions, and you know, tabloid press don't really like young women expressing themselves in that way, so it's to be expected, really.
So how do you deal with the tabloids, with the haters, with the Twitter trolls? You know, when you put it out there and you get it back, I mean, we all get it, anybody who does anything public, but how do you personally deal with it? Because I think there's a big issue for young women.
I think sometimes it really hurts, you know, and I have to deal with that by, you know, talking to my friends, my family and my shrink. I mean, I just keep going, you know, because I think that the things that I like to talk about are things that I feel are important, and the only way that we progress in life is by talking about things. So I'm not going to be shut up.
Yeah, well, good on you. I can hear people, I can hear women particularly saying, "Go, girl." Good on you, because it must be hard, I guess, you know, to sort of keep going in this sort of modern digital world, being in a position like yourself.
Era of outrage.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I try not to, you know, read too many of I call it the bottom half of the internet. I try not to connect too much with that bit.
Amen to that, sister. Yeah. Now, your autobiography is coming out soon. It's called My Thoughts Exactly. And as we've just discussed, you have some pretty big thoughts. How explosive are there things we don't know about you yet?
Yeah, I mean, I think that, you know, people have, you know, made a lot of money out of writing their version of my life, you know, ever since I started out in this business. You know, it's been a sort of like constant commentary about the innermost, you know, my relationships, my, you know, motherhood or whatever, and this is the first time that I've really, you know, decided to take control of my own narrative. So, yeah, I think people would be surprised because they'll have read things about me over the, you know, past 10 years or whatever, and they'll, you know, read my version and go like, "Oh, wow, you know, that's completely at odds with what I thought was going on." And I think that will be surprising for some people, maybe. But I don't think it's not really like shocking for no reason, you know. It's just an honest account.
It's real.
There's some raunchy. Before you arrived here, there was a media frenzy. I think you put it on Instagram that you'd slept with female escorts on tour after a
Well, yeah. I got an email from my publicist in the UK saying that the Daily Mail had picked up on, or someone had leaked a story from the book about, you know, that incident. Yeah, it's true, but it's not really like a salacious, raunchy extract from a book. It's actually more about how lonely and disconnected from my family I was on the road. I think I was, you know, I can't even, yeah. Anyway, I just sort of wanted to set the record straight and say, you know, it is true, but it's not like a sort of steamy chapter of the book. It's actually about loneliness more than anything.
And because it was a sad chapter in your life, I guess, and a lot of people can relate to that because everyone goes through these times where they feel like they're, you know, hitting the bottom, I guess.
Yeah, exactly.
Is it lonely? You know, did you feel lonely and disconnected only when you're on tour? A lot of artists say that when they're away travelling a lot like that, there is loneliness and disconnection. But did you feel that anyway in your life?
I was suffering with postnatal depression at the time anyway. I think my youngest daughter was about 1.5 years old, and I was on a 9-week tour, and you know, I was feeling pretty lonely. I don't have a band, you know. It's not everyone that comes on tour with me are people that are sort of, you know, on the job for short periods of time. So it is lonely. It's really isolating, and I was drinking a lot, and I was just really looking for something to, I don't know, make me feel something, and that's where I ended up.
Do you feel like a lot of women connect, maybe not to the superstar, obviously not to the superstar side of things, but to the postnatal depression, to the use of alcohol or drugs to quell loneliness or unhappiness? Do you find that a lot of people say to you, I get that?
Yeah,
women
for
say that
sure.
to you?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, you know, on my Instagram account and my, you know, DMs that come through from people, especially in the last few days in response to that story, you know, so many people have called me up not called me up, have messaged me and said, you know, I've felt exactly the same way. They might not have, you know, gone to the extent that I did to deal with it, but yeah, you know, I think a lot of women suffer with postnatal depression, especially working mothers. It's really difficult trying to you know, to come back into the workplace when your kids are so small.
And so how did you do that? Because you're obviously, you know, having trouble like a lot of people. So how did you sort of get yourself out of that situation?
Well, you mean get out of the negative phase?
Out of the downside.
4 years of therapy. You know, putting down my roots a little bit more, you know. I've divorced my husband, not that, you know, he wasn't responsible for anything, but our relationship wasn't working, and I just needed to figure out who I was again. And you know, I wrote this record, which I'm really, really proud of, and although it hasn't been the most commercially successful thing that I've done, it's by far creatively the thing that I'm the most proud of. And you know, now I've figured out the balance between motherhood and working as best as I can, and I feel like I'm in a pretty good place.
So you're touring Australia in February. So how do you balance that now? Do you bring the kids on the road with you? Like, how do you get to that better place and manage it better now?
Me and my husband are divorced, ex-husband, obviously. But we do a week on and a week off. So I try and get, as you know, when I leave home, I try and do it while he's got the kids, so they don't really notice that I'm gone, because it's the same sort of routine. I think there's a bit of a few days overlap when I do the Australian tour, but yeah, it's scheduling, you know. That's the bit.
A lot of people out there doing it.
Yeah.
Good on you for being so honest. It's very brave.
Thanks.
It's amazing. It's incredible.
I know, because a lot of artists aren't, you know, and they put up this facade. So congratulations and good luck in the future.
Cheers. And the album sounds fantastic. It's called No Shame. It's out right now, and Lily Allen will be back in February for concerts in Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane and Perth. Tickets go on sale next Tuesday. Thanks, Lily.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Enjoy Australia.
See you in February.